playing someone is the most difficult thing in the world, I would think. Becoming someone who's well known.
Yeah.
And that's the extraordinary thing. When I sat that in the preview that I saw, the rough cut, and I was floored. I thought, God, it's like watching myself. It was very eerie, but also satisfying. I didn't feel freaked out by it. I just felt really emotionally moved by the whole thing.
It has been the most daunting thing I've ever done. The first day of filming, we were filming a relatively innocuous kind of connective bit, and all I really had to do was walk across the space and say 3 or 4 syllables. I thought, oh my word, this is just not, what am I doing? You can't play Elton John. You know, why on earth did you do this? Once that feeling of immediate panic had abated and we kind of settled into it, my excitement has just grown and grown and grown throughout the process. I mean, I'm still terrified. You know, the thing to consider about playing someone who is so widely known and so beloved is that the wonderful thing about them is everyone feels a sense of ownership, because these songs are defining moments in people's lives.
No, that's really good. I wrote a tune to this.
And all we can do is give our own heartfelt, deeply considered interpretation of his life and his music, and hope that people connect with it.
Taron is an actor of incredible range. His vulnerability is you just sense it, but he doesn't have to play it. He doesn't have to, it's there. So it means that he can play really tough and difficult situations and characters and still maintain a sense of needing somebody or needing something. And he can sing like a fucking angel as well. I mean, the thing, he's got this incredible instrument.
But you misread my meaning when I met you.
It's a really interesting thing, studio recording. I've done bits of live singing before for, like, you know, drama school and musicals and things growing up, but it's a totally different beast. It's not as simple as just turning up and singing, you know. There are all sorts of unseen bits of craft and knowledge that become apparent through the process, and it's been a great feeling of growth and learning going on this journey, and my confidence as a singer, I really feel like that's shifted and grown as well.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling in G, not one of those who can easily hide.
Did quite a lot of piano practice for this film, but turns out it doesn't take months, it takes years.
In terms of my work with Taron from the start, we began seeing each other every day, 2 to 3 hours a day. The first weeks were getting Taron to improvise with his right hand and bring in chord shapes in the left hand. Then I'd play drums behind him and get a sense of keeping him in time to see how his timing was, and so we built it up in that sense, all very much at the piano to begin with. And what I instantly saw there was Taron's natural musicality coming out, because there was a real connection. He could hear da-da-da-da-da-da-da with his eyes closed and then open and play the lick. Because Taron had in his head this sense of how he would look as a performer, how he would look in this role, creating the character of Elton John through his lens, then his actual physical approach to the instrument and the way that he plays it truly suits the fantasy biopic line, in a sense. He is actually playing, and that's been the great thing. We've had many sessions now where what he's doing on stage, he's doing for real off stage, but with a style and with a sense of body movement and everything else that just lifts it beyond what it otherwise might be.
That's good. Could do with some words.
Yeah, that's the part I struggle with.
What's it called?
Oh no, I just made that up.
To be able to step up into this world for him, I think, is something that was really exciting. And it's not just about a physical transformation. Sure, he shaved his hairline and he puffed up his eyebrows, but there's nothing else that's done. It's really about how he inhabits, that character that we imagine.
Taron really was very up for going the whole hog, so he was willing to shave his head and sort of remove part of his hair so that we could then put balding wigs and stuff like that on him. But it's really uncanny how much he actually looks like Elton once we did that and he put the costumes on and sat behind a piano. It was just really odd, because to his face, if you're talking to him, it looks like Taron, but when you actually get him in front of the camera, it just becomes Elton. It was really, I think, to a point where Elton himself saw one of the first pictures that was released, which was Elton had these photographs done on the plane, and we kind of did a version of that. And when he actually saw it, he thought it was a picture of himself. So that's a real compliment. We were kind of bouncing around on the makeup room.
Whoa, dude, what the hell are you wearing? My stage gear.
I've always kind of known that I wanted to throw myself into it fairly wholeheartedly. It's not my own personal sense of style. I'm not even really sure if I have one. I'm just, you know, clothes are far more about utility to me. But I love Elton's sense of aesthetic. I think it's outlandish and otherworldly.
And I think when we first started working together, it was quite difficult to embrace it, but then I think once we got that flow going, you've said to me a few times you actually enjoyed dressing up in them because it gave you something different, which was, because some of them were quite difficult to wear as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've found it very liberating. You know, the whole process for me has been about submitting myself to it. You know, I've shaved my hairline back and thinned my hair and tried to I mean, genuinely, the costumes has never felt like something that I've had to kind of, you know, leave my dignity at the door or whatever. To be honest, it's always just been very, very exciting to have me as someone who probably has a bit of an extrovert deep down in there somewhere in terms of what they wear. You know, this has allowed it to kind of come out, really.
Get too real!
I've loved it. The next step will be me trying to take a little bit of Elton inspiration into my own personal life, which I could probably do with.
Yeah, well, no, yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.